Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome to a brand new series of Sid Meier's Civilization 5 with the Brave New World expansion. Don't worry those of you watching Age of Wonders, I haven't abandoned that, but I've been getting so many requests from people to do another Civilization 5 series, particularly to cover the final victory type which I haven't done yet, which is the Diplomatic Victory. Now, in order to get a diplomatic victory, what you need to do is get voted as the world leader in the World Congress. And in order to do that, you need to get all of the city-states on your side. So, in many ways, it's more of an economic victory, because what you really need to do is be able to make lots and lots of money in order to bribe as many of the city-states as possible to become your allies. Of course, you can also ally with them by doing quests as well. And one of the most important things for this game type is to try and be really passive. You want to avoid going to war with people because you want as many friends as possible. And the good thing with that means if you're not going to war, you don't have to worry about your trade routes getting plundered, apart from barbarians, but it means that you can concentrate on trade, you can concentrate on building up your money. Of course, you still need an army because you may get attacked, but it's a very, very passive game style. So we're going to be going in with that. I'll just quickly show you how I've got the options set up for this game. I'm playing as Alexander of Greece, and I'll explain why in a moment. We are on, well, it is a random map type, but it's just given the game away to me there and told me what type of map it is. I suppose I could have worked it out in a few turns anyway, but it's a random map type, and it's put us on a pangea, so it is all one big continent. It's a standard map size. We're on difficulty 5, which is King, one step above what is considered the normal or the standard difficulty of Prince. Now, I know I said on the last series that I was going to up the difficulty, but I thought for doing the diplomatic victory, it might become a little bit too difficult. And the reason I say that is, when you actually up the difficulty level in Civilization 5, it doesn't actually make the AI smarter or play harder. It just gives penalties to the player and bonuses to the AI in terms of things like production and science and things like that. Now, what this means is when you're on high difficulty levels, it's very, very difficult to beat the AI to building wonders. Unless you target a specific wonder and just put everything you've got into it, it is very, very unlikely you'll be able to build wonders before the AI. And that can make things very, very difficult. Now, if you're doing a domination type victory, like I did in the last series, that doesn't matter too much because the AI is still pretty dumb when it comes to warfare. So you just let one of the other civilizations build all of the wonders for you, like I did with Austria, and then roll in with your army, take over their city, and bam, you've got all of their wonders. Absolutely brilliant. So we're going to do this on King. Once this series is finished, I'll probably start going on to just doing random series with random leaders at a higher difficulty, and we'll just go for whatever type of victory comes to us during the game. So I'm playing Alexander of Greece, and the main reason for that is, if we go in and look at the civilization leaders, is that Greece's ability is the Hellenic League. City-state influence degrades at half and recovers at twice the normal rate. So that means that Alexander is absolutely perfect for being able to win a diplomatic victory, because he doesn't lose reputation with the city-states as fast, and he regains it at twice the normal rate. So obviously you can do this with any of the civilizations, but I've decided to do it with Alexander, not only because it is a little bit easier and a little bit quicker, but it also means I won't be playing against Alexander, because when you're playing against Alexander, it's a complete pain. Now, he has two unique units, which is the Companion Cavalry and the Hoplite. The Companion Cavalry just replaces the normal Horsemen, and it is slightly better. I think it's slightly better movement. Where are we? Replaces the Horsemen. They're slightly, they're faster, more powerful than the Horseman unit, making the most dangerous cavalry units until the arrival of the Knight. And they can move after attacking. So they're pretty much the same as normal Horsemen, except they get a movement of 5 instead of the movement of... A movement of 5 instead of the movement of 4, and they are slightly stronger as well. They also help generate great generals more rapidly than other units. So if we actually start getting kills with these companion cavalries, we actually get more points towards our great general. The other unit we have is the Hoplite. The Hoplite replaces our spearmen, and basically it has a higher combat strength than the spearmen. That's pretty much the only thing that it does. It's just a stronger version of it. So the special units that Greece has are amazing. So here we go. We are at turn 1. Now, normally I would pop down my first city in situ, And we're just going to turn on the yield icons. This is actually quite a useful thing to do when you're thinking about putting your city down, actually. Is to actually go to this little button here next to the minimap and turn on the yield icons, because then you can instantly see every tile and what it offers by default. Now, I normally play with this off because it does make the map quite noisy. But it is useful to turn it on just when you're thinking about placing a city. Now, I'm assuming the reason that the AI has spawned me on this particular hex is that it's next to a river. There's a lot of food tiles around. It's 2 hexes away from the silk, and it's 2 hexes away from the salt, which is brilliant. But what I think I'd like to do, actually, is move my settler down to this hex here. Now, this is a little risky maneuver because it will instantly put me 1 turn behind. If you actually look at the scoreboard, you can already see that the AI already has a score of 8 and I only have a score of 4 because I haven't put my city down yet. So I'm going to lose a turn by moving my city. But the reason I want to put it here is, first of all, it will be next to a mountain, which means I'll be able to build an observatory. It'll also be on a hill, which means I'll be able to build a windmill. And it'll also be next to a river, which means I'll be able to build a watermill. Also, the hill gives me better defense, and I'm surrounded on most sides by mountains and river. So I think that's going to be a slightly better tile for me. It will put me slightly further away from the silk to start with, but it will put me a little bit further away from the useless desert tile as well. So I'm going to move my settler down to that spot there. And we're going to use our warrior to do a little bit of exploration. We've already found the sea. Now, I would like to have a city on the coast. Probably not our first city. Would like to have a city on the coast because that will allow us then to have cargo ships, which are going to be very, very important for us. So, without further ado, let us put down our first city, and we start with Athens. We need to pick a science. Now, what's going to be quite good for us probably is getting agriculture up and running, because we do have the wheat, and getting that connected up nice and quickly would be really good for us. Now, that's going to involve us being able to get down some farms pretty quickly, so we'll go and do that as soon as possible. What else do we have around that we could get? Well, potentially we have the salt, which will require mining, and that will give us some gold. So what we should probably look at going in for is mining first. Not usually the thing I go for first, but I don't think we need to rush to pottery. We're not going to really need sailing all that quickly. So we're going to go in a bit of a different direction. And as usual, we're going to put out a scout first so we can start uncovering the map. So let's start having a little bit of a look around, see what we can find. We've already found a natural wonder, which is brilliant. We've found a Luru. So that would give us 2 food and 6 faith if we decided to work it. Obviously, we need to have a city close enough. So let's just keep scouting around. And that's exactly what we were looking for. We were looking for some ancient ruins. So as you can see, I'm already at the bottom of the scoreboard, but that's quite normal on games of Civ at these difficulties. We've actually found a second ruins, apparently. Ah, right next to each other. Okay. So let us get the first one, and we have 20 culture. That's brilliant. So we're only 3 turns away from getting our first social policy, so that is quite nice. Obviously, we do need to do a lot of exploring because we need to find the city-states as soon as possible. It's very important for us. I'm going to be concentrating a lot more on trade routes on this particular series as well, and showing you the best way to actually maximise your trade routes and get the most out of them. I know we've used trade routes before, but we've never really used them in a way that actually shows you how to get the most from them. So we've actually got a population increase on Athens, which is really good. Before we do anything else, let's just have a quick look at the city and see which tiles we are working. So we're working this tile because that gives us a lot of food, and we're also working this tile. We are going to struggle for food a little bit until we can actually upgrade this farm here. So we will need to get a worker out as soon as possible. So we're going to go on to the next turn. Now, we can adopt a policy now, but let's just have a quick look around. We've already found a city-state, so we're going to pop down there in a second. Now, I think what I will do, normally I tend to go for tradition first, which could be useful in the capital because it will give us some extra food. But I'm starting to think liberty would be better because we're in an area where we don't have an awful lot of resources clumped close together. So I think we're going to need to get a fair few extra cities. So we're going to go down the route of liberty to start this game. We've now produced our scout, so we're going to go for a monument, which will give us extra culture and allow our borders to grow more quickly. And we're going to take our scout off in this direction and see what we have over here. So we've pretty much found the coast in all directions. We've got some more salt. We do have some cattle down there as well. Got to continue to move around with our warriors. Of course, that's got to use all of their movement because they've just crossed the river. So we have moved up a little bit on scores, mainly because we've just got that social policy. We've now met Kuala Lumpur. We're the first person to meet them, so they give us 30 gold. Very nice of them. And we'll scout around the outside with these warriors, I think, and move back upon the other side, just in case we need to deal with any barbarians later, which we probably will do, because that tends to be the way of things with these games of civilization. And now we're back down at the bottom of the scoreboard again, because everybody's pretty much got a social policy by this point. We found another city-state, so let's go and say hello to Ife, or Ife, however that's pronounced. And they have given us 30 gold as well. And just as we said we were going to do with you guys, we will move you around. Double river, there's actually quite a lot of rivers on this map. We do have mining. That is going to be useful. In fact, I actually messed up there. I shouldn't have really done mining because I can't build the mine yet anyway because I don't have a worker and we haven't reached the salt. So that was a little bit silly. So we are going to go into pottery now anyway. I will get a worker as quickly as possible so we can get that hooked up. Okay, we've discovered our first barbarian camp. We've also got some incense down here as well, so it's good to know that that is there. Let's continue working our warriors around. So I am going to move those scouts away from the barbarians very shortly. So what I'm going to do now, I think, is get a worker out as quickly as possible, because then we can start upgrading the wheat and the salt, and then we'll get another city and get ourselves a nice coastal city somewhere, maybe up here so we can work Uluru. I wasn't planning on doing the religious game. I'm still not, to be honest, but it might be nice to get one up here because we'll have access to the fish, we'll have access to the oasis, we'll have access to the wheat. So that actually seems like a very good tile to put a second city on. So that is definitely a plan. Let us withdraw away from the barbarians. We've found ourselves some more mountains. You guys are going to continue around, hopefully safely. Let us see what we can find. Obviously, we're moving through rough terrain, so it's using quite a bit of our movement up. We have discovered the Moroccans. Well, we can't do anything with them right now, because obviously we don't have the ability to set up an embassy yet. We've also discovered Old Faithful, which would give us some extra science if worked, and it would also give us 3 happiness if it was just within our borders. I don't know, maybe that's something to the future. It's probably a little bit close to Moroccan territory, but we'll see what we can do with. Like I said, we do want to avoid getting into conflict with other civilizations, but we will do if we have to. So let's continue to look around and see what we can find. There probably aren't going to be any ancient ruins around this area because the Moroccans would have already picked them up if there were. But we'll continue to have a bit of a peek anyway. So let's have a little look around with our warriors while we're here. And we have met the Spanish as well. Okay, so they're probably going to expand quite quickly. Now, where did we bump into the Spanish, or did the Spanish bump into us? We actually bumped into them down there, so it looks like there's actually quite a few civilizations down on this end of the map. We found some gold. Now, that actually sounds like we've discovered a ruin. Certainly made the noise to indicate that we had, unless somebody else picked it up. Nothing particularly exciting down there. Oh, it was you guys. You've actually found 2 ruins. Okay, well, let's nab them as quickly as we can. We've got some gold. We have found a barbarian camp, but we're going to head away from that in a moment and try and pick up that ruin as well. Will take us 2 turns to get to it, assuming nobody beats us to it. So you run over there. Oh, we didn't get it. The Moroccans beat us to it. That is a shame. But we do have another policy. So we could actually get ourselves a free worker. I probably should have gone for that first. But 1 production in every city and 5% production in cities where building buildings. Okay, so how many turns am I away from getting that worker? 5 turns. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the free worker. And I may change my production into something else. I think what I'm going to do is very, very quickly try and get a settler. because then we can get our second city going. And I'm going to get the workers to upgrade the wheat. And the scouts are going to continue. I'm assuming that is that the Spanish? Oh no, we've now met the Songhai. Now these guys tend to be quite aggressive, so we may well have some conflicts with them in the future, whether we want to or not. We've now researched pottery. We'll continue to have a look around with the scouts. Doesn't seem to be an awful lot of interesting stuff around here. So what are we going to go for? Well, let's go back up and find our city. We're going to have mining for salt. We will need to get calendar, essentially, for the silk once we reach that. It's going to be a little while before we get there, but it would be nice to have. So we will get calendar. In fact, no, we'll get archery first, because archery could potentially let us get the Temple of Artemis. We may be beaten to it. In fact, we probably will be. But it would be nice if we could get that. It would certainly give us some additional food in the capital, which would always be nice. Having a quick look around with our warriors, I don't think we're going to find much that is useful. So let us start building our farm. And go on to the next turn. Obviously, at this point, the city is stagnating, which is fine, because, you know, we are actually building a settler. If we look at the city itself and see what tiles we're working, we just want to be working tiles that give us the most food at the moment, which indeed we are, because food will give us the settler all the more quickly. And we'll continue just to have a look around with the scout. Not sure that we're going to find anything particularly interesting. And I doubt we're going to find any more ancient ruins close by to our city. So I'm going to start bringing the warriors back just so that they can defend us a little from barbarian attacks. I may actually push them out to the east a little bit further just to see if we can find anything exciting over in that direction. Though probably not. I'll continue to use the scouts to explore because we've just found another city-state. So, you want to give me 1 gold per turn to accept embassy? I'm going to say yes, because, you know, why not? It's free gold. 30 free gold is 30 free gold, and that is definitely what we are all about on this particular game mode. So, we could potentially have a problem there with barbarians. We're going to run away from them and hopefully move down and meet the city-state in this hex here without being attacked. In the meantime, we're going to start moving our warriors back towards our capital. And as per usual with games of Civ, the first few turns are always just sort of clicking next turn with not an awful lot of exciting stuff going on in between. Yeah, the barbarians are actually getting a little bit close to us, which I don't like. But I'm going to nip down here. We've now met Sophia, and they've given us some gold. And if they attack our scouts, we'll just put them on to... because Sophia's probably going to be bombarding them anyway, so our scouts should technically be safe. They may take some damage... But say the chances are Sophia's going to soften them up nicely for us. Yeah, and then they're attacking our scouts, which is as I expected. In fact, my scouts can probably take them. Yes, they can, so we'll do that. We may even get some reputation with Sophia for doing so, and we do. So we do get a little bit of positive reputation with Sophia for killing those barbarians, which is really nice. So you certainly want to keep your eye on all of the city-states you've met. If you go to the diplomacy screen and you can see the city-states you've met. So we've met a militaristic state, which if we are allied with them, they will give us units. We have met a religious state, which if we're allied with them, will give us additional faith. And we've also met a cultured state. If we're allied with them, it will give us additional culture to use in social policies. None of them have any missions for us yet, so we don't need to worry about that right now. Workers have now finished the farm, so let's get them over here and connect up the salt, because that will then give us the ability to have a little bit of extra happiness, and we are going to be setting up another city relatively soon, so it is quite important that we get additional happiness on board. We've also now researched archery. Now, all of our advisors are recommending animal husbandry, mainly because we can get a caravan up and running, which is going to be useful. We don't really have... any sort of cattle or anything around that we could use the pasture for, so that's not really all that useful, but it will give us 1 trade route, and we are probably close enough to set up a trade route with Kuala Lumpur, so we should certainly get animal husbandry going right away. I think I'm just going to get my scouts to heal up a little bit here. I don't want to lose them if I can avoid it, and let's start moving around with the warriors. You guys are going to create the mine. 5 turns away from getting our settler out, and we have got some barbarians attacking us. Well, getting close to us, so I'm quite glad that I did bring my warriors out here. So let's go and meet them face to face. Going to get right up close to them, and well, I may as well attack them and see what happens. They're not going to be able to get to my workers anyway. If they start attacking, I'll just heal up. Spain has started worshipping a pantheon of gods. They have chosen the belief stone circles, so they get an extra 2 faith from quarries. Spain does like to play quite a religious game, so we will be expecting to see an awful lot of missionaries and things around, so we will have to be careful there. If I set up a religion, it needs to be a religion for my own benefit, and I have to not think about spreading it to other people, because Spain just won't let me do that. We'll never get away with it. So I'm just going to put my warriors on top of my workers to keep them safe here. Which, as you can see, was totally the right call, because the barbarians have come directly in next to the workers. Warriors are going to fortify until healed. If they attack, then good luck to them. Let's go on to the next turn. And our borders have started to expand, which is quite nice. Not going to attack the warriors, because they are on the hill, of course. And there we go, the barbarians have moved in, which is fine because we can now bombard them with the city. If we try and attack them with our warriors, we will be attacking over a river, which is a bit of a pain, but we're going to do it anyway just to try and keep everybody nice and protected. We can now build a new unit or structure here at Athens. Now, we could go for the Temple of Artemis. It's a lot of turns to put into a wonder, particularly if it doesn't work. And it would give us some additional culture, it would give us engineer points. It's well worth having if we can get it up and running. But I think at this point, the granary is going to be more useful because it'll give us +2 food, and it will also give us an extra food from the wheat. So difficult. I think I'm going to go for the Temple of Artemis, though. If we can get 10% growth in all cities and... oh, I don't know. It's such a hard one to choose. The AI doesn't always prioritise Temple of Artemis, which means it is usually generally easy to beat the AI to the Temple of Artemis. And that great engineer point is so useful if we can get a great engineer. We're going to give it a go. We're going to see what happens. It may not work, but we're going to see what happens. The worker needs orders. I'm not going to get the worker to do anything on this turn because the chances are they'll probably just be captured by the barbarian, and the settler is going to do nothing either. So we're going to go on to the next turn.
Thou shalt not muzzle the ox.
And they've pillaged my farm, which is really, really annoying. So we'll finish them off with the city. We'll finish them off with the warrior, and we're going to give the warrior... I don't know, we don't have that much rough terrain around. It is mainly open terrain, so we're going to go with shock. And we're going to get our warrior to wipe out those barbarians. We've now got to go and rebuild our farm, which is really annoying. But luckily our workers have just finished what they were doing. So, the AI thinks that I should build here, because it is next to the silk. And it's next to a river, which isn't a bad idea. However, if I build over here... in fact, I think probably the best hex to build in would actually be this hex here. Because wonders count as a mountain. So if I actually build in the forest here, I'll be able to build an observatory when we get that far, which will help us with science. And of course, you don't want to sort of not have science. Even though we're not going for a scientific victory, having the science is going to be very useful for us. So we'll continue on to calendar. Our scouts have now healed up, so we're going to continue to explore with them. Go on to the next turn. Still 4 players that we haven't met yet, as we continue to explore around. Warriors, you are going to... I know you could do with healing up, but you're actually going to go and escort the settlers as much as you can. You guys are going to repair that farm. I'm going to try and edge out 1 hex at a time with the settlers, and hopefully we can get there without too much of a problem. We can adopt another policy. We're going to move forward 1 and 2. What are we going to go for? Happiness for each city connected to the capital. Well, we're not started connecting anything up yet. Each city you found will increase the culture cost of policies by 33% less. That could be very, very useful. Or 1% one production in every city and plus 5% production in cities when constructing buildings. Now that could be quite useful for us because we are building a wonder, but at the same time actually starting a golden age could be useful for us as well. So we're actually going to go for that one, get the golden age started. Because the golden age will actually give us plus 20% production empire-wide. So that will decrease the amount of time it's going to take to build the Temple of Artemis. It also means that when we get our next city set up, that we'll be able to build our first building there quite quickly. We've also met Cape Town. We are the first people to do so. They are a maritime city-state, which means they will actually give us food if we ally with them. So let's on to the next turn. I would like to try and get my other city up and running if I can before we do anything else. We've got a barbarian camp there. We also have... Right, I'm not too worried about that barbarian camp, although clearing it would be good for Sophia. As you can see, we are actually getting quests now. Kuala Lumpur have become easy at the presence of a nearby barbarian encampment, which they want us to clear, which is that one there. And... Ife and Sophia. So we've actually got three missions to kill barbarians. So we're certainly going to have to get ourselves some more units out. Now, let's get... Yeah, okay, we're safe there. We are safe there. It's almost tempting to actually move into this hex, because being in this hex, we would then be next to the river as well. And it is still... That's still a coastal tile. So we could be on this hex. We'd have a coastal tile. We'd be next to a river. We'd be next to a mountain. We'd be close to the salt. We'd be close to the sheep. We would be a little bit far away from these horses, but we could still settle another city there. And this city is going to be really, really... It's got the fish as well. And it's going to be really hard for it to be attacked from the sea because it only has one coastal tile next to it. That is going to be a really, really good tile for us to get. So that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to use my scouts to continue looking around. And my warriors are going to come out here. Workers have now finished that. And it's recommending that we build a farm over on this hex, which is probably not a bad idea. We are working that tile, so let us go and build a farm there. On to the next turn. Sophia desires gold, and now we've got some archers to deal with. So before we do anything else, we are going to move our settlers here. And we've actually found some ruins, so we're definitely going to get those as quickly as we can. We are going to settle our second city, and we now have Sparta. So we have a coastal city, which is next to a mountain and next to a river. That is really, really good for us. What are we going to get going at Sparta? Probably the monument should be a useful thing to get up and running, just so we can start expanding our borders. I think we will go for that for now. Obviously, things will increase once the city is established. We're working this hex because it's giving us the most food. Unfortunately, it's not really giving us a lot of production. We're working it because it's giving us faith. So I'm going to work this hex instead, because it'll give us the same amount of food, but it'll also give us an extra 1 construction and 2 gold at the cost of the faith. As you can see, it's brought the construction turns down to 17 turns, which is very, very useful. Okay, scouts are stuck in a bit of a corner. I want to avoid cutting through other people's territories, because it will upset them if we do so. Want to think about going and attacking these archers, but I think at the moment I could do with full health before attempting to do that. So let's see what they're up to. Let's see what they try and do. They have come and stood right next to us, which is rather stupid. So we are going to go and kick them really hard, because archers are just really, really weak in melee. And we are going to go on to the next turn. A unit needs orders. That'll be our scout. I'm going to move to here and then cut through this piece of land. I think this is probably coast here anyway, but we're going to have a look and see what we can find. Wow, we do seem to have a lot of barbarians coming in from a lot of different directions. Oh, we found another city-state. This is good. They all seem to be clumped right together. Well, we certainly need to take these guys out. And we are going to have to get ourselves some military units. Now, luckily, we do actually have enough money to purchase units. We're actually going to purchase ourselves an archer. We can use that to start bombarding on the enemy. Let's go on to the next turn. Can't see where those archers have gone. I do, of course, also want to try and grab that ancient ruins if I can. So who have we found here? We have met Genoa. Genoa is a mercantile city-state, which means that they will give us jewellery, which is a unique resource that you can only get from those types of city-states. We're going to have a look around on this little piece of land here and see where it leads to. Probably nowhere. I'm going to move our archers up onto the hill. Can't actually see anything, but one of those barbarians have got to be around somewhere. And there they are, although they're in a bit of a pickle at the moment because they can now be bombarded by Sparta. We're going to continue to move these guys over here in the hope that we can nab that. We're also within range of these horses, which is really good for us. Yeah, nowhere we can go over there, but we will cut through on the next turn. Because as long as we don't stop in their borders, we are going to be absolutely fine. Let's have another farm over here. That doesn't seem like a terrible idea. Although we're probably not we might be working that tile, actually. We're not working that tile yet. Once we get our granary up and running, though, this tile is going to be very, very nice. But yeah, we'll have our farm here. We will lose some of the production, but we're not working the tile. And then we will get our... As soon as the Temple of Artemis is finished, we'll probably get some mines on these hills to get some extra production going. So, archers, you're not really close enough to do anything about there, archers, but we're going to move you forwards anyway. And they are going to attack us, which is fine. And we have calendar. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is attack these guys with our city, because that will severely weaken them. We're probably not going to be able to finish them off with our archers, which is a shame. But we're certainly going to do a lot of damage to them and weaken them very much. Use our warriors to nab this. And 20 culture, which is quite nice. Not enough to get a social policy. Research is now complete. Now, do we really need trapping? There's nothing around that we can really get that is all of that useful to us at the moment. Masonry might be nice because we could potentially construct the pyramids. Or even better, the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, because that would give us gold each time we expend a great person. We don't really have any marble or stone around, though, which is a little bit of a shame. So we won't get the bonus gold from that. I guess we could go straight into bronze working and get ourselves the hoplites, which would be very, very useful for us. Or we could go into writing and go for the Great Library and start getting science off the ground. Or sailing and actually get fishing boats, so a work boat, so we could get the fish here. I think we're going to go writing and start to try and get our science improved where we can. So let's nip through there. We're going to bring you... Well, I'd like to bring you into the city, but you won't be able to make it, unfortunately. We're going to bring you as close as we can. So, we have met Dido. Now, Dido can also be quite aggressive as well. I can't remember what type of victory she normally goes for. But we do have to be careful of her because she is usually one of the more aggressive leader types. I'm not going to attempt to take them out with the city. I'm going to use my archers so that my archers get the XP from the kill. It's not a lot of XP, but it is some. And these guys are going to heal up. And soon we'll be in a position to go and start taking out... Oh, that's a lot of barbarians. Although they are more of a pain to the Moroccans than myself at the moment. So let's start advancing in the opposite direction. So we're not doing too bad. We are third on the scoreboard. We don't know who the two people are above us at the moment. It's quite normal to have a little bit of a slow start. So we do have some archers that are attacking us from the opposite direction. Now, they are on a hill, which is a little bit of a pain. However, we should still get a major victory by attacking them with our warriors. Yeah, they're almost dead. Right, we're just going to start having a look up here. Oh, we found some citrus. Shame we don't have a city anywhere near that. Let's start moving you guys forward, and we'll see if there's a barbarian camp up here that we can clear. This video has been running on for a bit of a while now, so I think we'll just finish the next turn, and we will probably call that a video. So, there we go. Now, I'm going to take the attack with these guys. Yeah, I was a little bit afraid of that. We're so close to the Barbarian Camp here that these barbarians are now probably going to come out and kill my warriors, which I didn't want to happen, but there's not an awful lot I can do about this. We've also discovered some borders here. Now, that looks like... It looks like blue with a white border, which would make it the United States of America, or to make it Washington anyway. So, not 100% sure. We will have a look. That is red and yellow, so that's got to be Spain, isn't it? Let's have a look. I know I said I was going to end the next turn, but now I'm curious. Got to be curious. Yep, I thought they were going to come out and attack my warriors. Warriors are on the hill, though, and did manage to survive, which I'm quite amazed by. Ah, no, it's actually Darius. So we've now met Persia as well. I think he usually prefers the cultural victory. We're getting quite a lot of the Eastern civilizations in here, I notice. So I'm going to give these guys heal instantly, literally just so they survive. I wouldn't normally waste the heal on them like that, but we need them to stay safe, and we're going to get them to just heal up here on the hill. Unit needs orders. You guys have built the farm. I think you're actually going to go and build a mine up here. I don't think a farm is really required. And that's Carthage, yeah. See, we still have some more barbarians around we are going to have to clear up. We do get a Pantheon now, though, so we have some choices here which we could go for. We could get wine and incense to provide us an extra culture, which would be nice, but we don't really have any of that around. Culture from shrines could be useful. Faith healers. Production in cities with a population of +3. Nothing really gives us a great deal of gold, though, down this line. We could get an extra gold per turn from the palace, but obviously you only have one palace in your capital, so that isn't going to be all that useful. I think I'm actually going to go for fertility rights and get the extra growth, which is always one of my favourites. I never usually have too much of a problem with happiness in these games, so I don't mind too much being able to grow my cities quite quickly. Obviously the Persians having a bit of barbarian issue themselves down here. We'll try and leave them to it as much as we can. You're actually going to build a mine here so we can get some extra construction tiles if we need. You guys are stuck behind a hill, so you can't actually fire at these guys, which is really annoying. So I'm going to move you into the forest there. We've met another city-state, actually, so, well, we haven't met them yet, but we will do very soon. You want to give me gold per turn for embassy? Fine, let us do that. Like I said, we do want to get friendly with people, so it's absolutely no problem whatsoever trying to make friends and embassies. I'll be a little bit more cautious with things like open borders, because I, tend not to want my borders open to people who could potentially attack me later on. Let's do as much damage to these guys as possible. So yeah, I know this video's gone on a little while, but I know the first video I always do a lot of waffling about the setup and the reason why I've picked certain options and things like that. So at least it means we get a good half an hour of gameplay, and the opening turns are pretty slow as well. So there's only 2 civilizations we haven't met yet, and they're both beating us on the scoreboard. We now have writing. We have a unit promotion for our archers, and we are going to give them accuracy, because they are spawning new units here, which is very, very annoying. You're going to attack these guys that are standing out there in the open. You are going to move here. You're going to clear the camp, which will give us some gold and some XP and stop them spawning any more units. Still don't know who this is yet. Choose research. We're now going to go into sailing so we can get ourselves that workboat. And continue to move our scout up and over in this direction. Isabella has entered the classical era. Their warriors are attacking my archers, which is really, really annoying. Okay, so let's move the scouts over. And we're going to use our archers to attack these rather annoying barbarians. Can we finish them off? Yes, we can. And we have now met... what's that? Samarkand. Not a city-state that I'm familiar with, but they're mercantile, which means if we're allies, they will give us porcelain. Very, very nice. Okay, let's just go on to the next turn. Right, we're definitely going to end at the end of the next turn. That is for certain. I just really wanted to find out who these guys were here. Looks like there's another barbarian encampment nearby. Quite a lot of barbarians around. Athens has grown. A unit needs orders. You're just going to continue to scout around because you're a scout and that is what you do. So let's just move over in this direction. And yes, I was correct. It is Washington. So we've discovered the Americans. And you're just going to heal up, and you are just going to heal up as well. And that's pretty much all I can do on this turn. On the next video, we will be taking out some more of these barbarian camps, and we're going to start looking for missions. If we look down here, now that we've got a few more city-states, you can see that the little crossed swords means that city-states will reward us for killing barbarian encampments. Sophia wants us to connect gold to our trade network. Iffy or Ife want horses. Kuala Lumpur wants culture. So, they want specifically to generate a great musician. And Genoa and Ife want us to defeat barbarians that are actually invading their territories as well. So we are going to have to pop out some military units. Even though we're playing a passive game, obviously we still have to deal with barbarians, and at the same time we also want to make sure we've got a bit of an army to discourage any of the other civilizations from attacking us. One turn away from the Temple of Artemis, which means we should get that, and then we're going to be able to start building some more interesting structures. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you are enjoying this new series, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, goodbye for now.